So it's 2019, and me and my friends were going to a convention that we went to every year. This was the first year that I would be able to drive us to the metro station and we could go without our parents. So we get onto the metro and we take our seats, and we see that there's a bunch of unused zip ties scattered on the ground. We ride for a little bit, and then my friend Julian goes, "Hey, I know how to get out of these. It's actually pretty easy." And we don't really believe him, so to prove it, he picks up one of the zip ties and has one of our friends help him bind his hands in front of him. And as soon as the metro comes to a stop, he stands up, raises his hand above his head, and jams his hands into his stomach, and they broke. We were honestly pretty impressed, so we asked him to do it again, and he did. After doing it a couple more times, he stops and sits back down, and we continue as normal again. Well, after a while, Julian speaks up again and goes, I bet I could do this with my hands tied behind my back instead." Now, the rest of us all agreed that this wasn't a good idea, but we helped him get into the zip ties anyways. So Julian tells my friend Elliot to put the zip ties on as tight as they can go, because it makes them easier to snap. And so once the metro comes to a stop, he stands up, lifts his arms back as far as they can go, and jams them towards his back. It didn't break. So he tries a couple more times, and it's pretty evident that it's not going to work, so he sits back down. We're all looking at him a little worried now because the zip ties at this point are digging into his skin. And here's the thing. It's a 45-minute ride. By chance, across from us there's this lady who's working on some sort of scale model, and she has a bunch of tools with her. She very nicely speaks up and asks if we would like to borrow her X-Acto knife to try to cut him free. So we take the blade and we start trying to cut it, but it's too blunt and it barely makes a dent after a while of trying, so we give it back. At this point, the pain is enough to make Julian's eyes water, and we're all looking at each other like, okay, now what? It's not like any of us had scissors or anything. Well, luckily, if you've ever been to an anime convention before, you know that there's usually a knife stand that sells a variety of different knives and daggers. And even though I had never committed to getting one before, this year both me and Julian bought knives. So we decide we're gonna use the knife. On the metro, where you're distinctly not supposed to have weapons. And on top of that, this is like a 6-inch long knife. Like, this is a knife. But we don't really have any other choice at this point, so we have Elliot pull out the knife and start sawing into the zip tie whenever the metro stops. I'm in the seat behind them when I notice, hey, wait. Elliot was cutting it towards his back, meaning if the metro suddenly started while they were cutting, there was a pretty good chance that they would accidentally stab him in the spine. After yelling at my friend and definitely getting them mad at me, I took over and started sawing away from his body. After working through the plastic for the next couple of stops, the knife finally sliced through the zip ties and Julian was finally free.